In this multidimensional world, much of which is invisible to the eye, a group of non-physical entities have come here to expand our knowledge of how the universe works. These non-physical teachers are called Joshua, and they convey their teaching through Gary Temple Bodley. Each week, Gary, with a selection of law of attraction experts, open up a roundtable of thought-provoking discussions surrounding the teachings of Joshua. Joshua's intention is to bring clarity to the listeners through the ever-expanding law of attraction by looking at reality from a new perspective. Welcome to the teachings of Joshua Roundtable.
Hello, everyone. This is episode 16 of the Teachings of Joshua Roundtable. I'm your host, Gary Temple Bodley. Today is January 23rd, 2016. In this episode, we're going to talk about finding our passions. Joshua says that we come to Earth intending to live in joy, happiness, and bliss. Bliss comes from the pursuit of one's passions. So if you haven't found your passion yet, how can you live in bliss? Today on the show, we're going to try to figure out how to find our passions. We will also discuss Joshua's quote of the week, which is about discovering your passion, and the question of the week comes from our very own Steve Finizza. If you want to receive the question of the week and the quote of the week every Saturday, just go to the www.theteachingsofjoshua.com and sign up for the free newsletter. It's a great way to follow along with the show. On the roundtable today, we have Janine Kodakovich. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Gary.
And Michael Cudson. Hi, Michael.
How are you doing, Gary?
Great. And Roman Finizza. Hi, Roman.
Hi, Gary.
Steve is out camping in the desert, so he can't connect to the show like he usually does. He'll be back next week. And instead we have Roman, which is Steve's son, who we just talked briefly has the higher vibration because he's younger. So we're going to be excited about that.
I'm Steve 2.0.
Okay, let's get started by reading the quote of the week. Janine, do you have that?
I do. If you have found passion in whatever you are doing, you have found your true path. Joshua.
Okay, so that just shows you right there how important passion is. If people are saying, am I really on my path? Well, if you're involved in your passion, then you're on your path. And as we read more about what Joshua has to say about everything, is that you came to Earth with certain intentions. Most of your intentions were general, like to live in joy, happiness, and bliss. But one of the more, you also come with one or more specific intentions, and that is to explore some aspect of physical reality. And some people, it's teaching, and some people, it's music, and some people, it's whatever it is. Business or all kinds of different things. But because we're in this society of ours in the Western culture, we sort of get, go through the school system. There's certain ideals that appear to be better than other things, and you're sort of concerned about providing for your future and having a job and raising a family and things like that. And you sort of get in this path that may not be aligned with what you really want. So if you are following a passion or more than one passion, then you can just be assured that you're on your path, and that's all you have to worry about. So today in this show, we're going to really talk about how we're going to find our passions. And I think a lot of people get to my age. I certainly am 53 now, and I've realized I had passions all my life, but I was also doing other things, trying to make money and trying to build a business and things that really didn't correspond exactly with what I was doing. Luckily for me, I've come at this age where I've really just fully focused on what I like to do, which this show is one of them. What about you guys? Have you found your passions yet? Anyone?
I have.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, Roman, what's your passion?
Well, I've got a couple of them. I mean, I really enjoy artistic creation, and mainly in the form of 3D things like sculpting or like modeling kind of things. I like making things with my hands. So like pretty much whenever I do that, nothing else matters. It's just kind of like, I'm in my own little world and I can do whatever I want. And I mean, I really enjoy it. It's weird. It doesn't really do anything for me right now, money-wise, but I don't really care because it's
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah. So that's how you know you're in a passion. Time slips by. You forget to eat. Um, really, space and time seems to lose its meaning. And if you think about, when we're in the non-physical, there's no space and time. When you're involved in a passion, those constructs of this reality sort of lose their meaning, and that's how you know you're involved in a passion. Who else has a passion?
Well, it's interesting. I love this question today because I have to share with you. I was at a party last night. Tim and I were at a friend's party, and it was for her husband. I've been friends with her for well over 20 years, but I haven't been to their home in a while. We've been meeting more out at restaurants. When we were leaving the party, she said, "Hey guys, Tim and Janine, can I take you around and show you?" She's been taking art classes for a while now. She has one daughter finishing up college who's doing study abroad in China, and then she has another one that's up in Jacksonville working now. So she finally found the time to pursue her passions. And let me tell you, she walked us from room to room, showing us these amazing pieces of art that were framed on the walls in almost every room in her house. They were pastels, they were charcoals. And I'm like, who knew? I've known
Yeah.
you for over 20 years. And she said, I know. I didn't even realize. I always had an interest in it, but I didn't realize the artistic ability I had. And now that she's nurturing it, we discussed that she's living in blissful moments. And when she's sitting there in her art class, she said, all of a sudden I'll look up and it'll be 3 hours past, and I don't even
Right.
realize that much time passed. So I said, many times when we're in those blissful moments, we have no concept of time.
Yeah.
As far as my own interests, I'm pursuing them now. I'm more aware of them. Traveling worldwide is actually one of my major passions, which I'm
Yeah.
doing. And like Roman, I could say I'm like a creative, artistic person, like working with my hands. So I make jewelry. And one thing that seeing Leanne last night that kind of triggered something in me. I used to draw. I used to paint. I took interior design classes in school. I designed my own prom gown. A matter of fact, I found that sketch not too long ago, and I'm like, I just got busy with life and raising my family. But there's absolutely no reason. We were talking. I was like, Leanne, I can reinvent myself as you can, as anyone can at any time.
Absolutely. That's
So
right.
I'll probably be picking up a paintbrush and a charcoal pencil in the not too distant future. Because she inspired me, and that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Other people can inspire you. You just have to go within and see and follow your passions, and it's never too late. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Well, as we're going to talk more, it's it's your interests that lead to other interests that lead to other interests that lead to a passion, and then the passion develops from there. So it's just that spark of interest, following that for a little while down the road, like you're holding onto a thread and pulling at that, and that will sort of lead you to where you really want to be. But we also tend to put off our passions because they don't make money.
That's right.
Yeah, but we don't think they can make money. Actually, what I should say.
That's very true. Who knows if one of those, because I loved some of her pieces of art, and so did Tim. Who knows if somebody wanted to purchase one of her pieces? That
Right.
wasn't her intention, though, when she
Yeah.
made them whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's good because she didn't have to have that as an intention, but starving artists do.
Hmm.
Lily has a girl that is just an amazing artist that works for her in her furniture store. And so what they do in that store is they take really good quality pieces of furniture that are, older and were brown, stained wood and that thing, and they paint them. And so some of them are lacquered and some are chalk painted, but they come up with these incredible different things to put on this furniture, make them really modern. And this girl's amazing, and she can paint anything. And then they've opened up they've busted into the store next door, and they've opened up a whole new shop called Coastal. And so everything in that store is coastal. Well, here in Florida, so that's a big thing. And so this girl started painting these amazing, they would buy these canvases that had other artwork on them at thrift stores, and then she would just paint over them with these amazing like seahorse or crabs that are sort of abstract and really cool. And so she gets paid to work in a store, and she's making these paintings, and then Lily's selling them, and she's like, well, I should get part of that because I painted them. And we're like, well, yeah, but you're working at the store doing it. But if you want to, you can buy these canvases, paint the paintings, and we'll buy them from you. So there's, something that she could do right there, but she says no, because then I'd have to do it on my own time and I have to pay for all my supplies and that sort of thing. So you can sort of see how she's been able to find a job that is her passion, but she's sort of resistant about taking it to the next step. And I think that all of us do that to some extent.
Yeah.
No
Definitely.
question
I
about
actually
that.
called your wife because I'm in the middle, Tim and I are in the middle of redecorating our house, which is another passion for both of us. And
Yeah.
most people would be like, oh, we had to move out for a little bit while they were spraying all the oil trim. We have a lot of wood trim in our house, and everything's under plastic, and, rooms are taped off and floors are covered, and it's inconvenient. And most people would like, well, that's too much for me because you're not the norm. It's a little bit
Right.
stressful situation. But I was like, I'm loving it because
I know.
I'm having so much fun now that we're uncovering it, redecorating, and which is why I called Lily. I need some things made. But
Yeah.
it's a fun thing. Then again, if that wasn't my passion, then I would have an interior designer do it. So
Right.
I wouldn't have the stress. But it
Someone
is my
who's,
passion. So I'm having
yeah.
fun. And, one day Tim came home and he's like, oh my gosh, it always looks worse before it looks better. And then he's like, I'm like, I am so fine with this whole process. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, the end result is going to be worth everything we put into it.
That's
So,
awesome. And Michael, what about you? Have you found your passion yet?
I'm not sure I would say I found them, but I'm aware of them, and maybe that's a
Mm,
little bit of a difference.
okay.
And in part, just so everyone knows, I wrote a letter to Joshua this week too, asking about finding passions. And one of the, and I've identified broad areas that are very interesting to me and that I've always enjoyed. And from there, I want to take it further.
Right.
I enjoy writing. I love
Right.
to write. I love to perform. I love an
Mm-hmm.
audience. The only thing better than
Mm.
100 people in a room is 200 people in a room listening to me.
Wow. See, and so many people would be so afraid of that.
Oh
You know.
no, the adrenaline from that is fantastic, especially if you're getting good feedback.
Yeah.
It's
And
just amazing. I love an audience.
what
I,
kind
I
of performance do you like to do?
Well, I've done everything from teaching professionally. I've done
Mm-hmm.
lectures at at our synagogue about, about the Torah, even though I'm not particularly, I take some controversial positions, including the fact that I think a lot of it is, if not most of it's written by man. Uh,
Right.
but part of it, I always like to inject humor into it. I love to make people laugh. I love to,
Yeah.
and that's something that's, I'm thinking about how to have fun with that. I also like to sing, and
Mm.
I love music. I love listening to music of all genres.
Yeah.
I've gotten into some crazy conversations with my kids about music.
Uh-huh.
Now they know, sometimes they know more about the things that are out today than I would know.
Yeah.
But we've gotten into some great conversations. The other day, my 17-year-old daughter surprised me. I think she put on AC/DC intentionally. I said, "That's not an accident, honey," and she said, "No, I like it."
Really?
And as a soon-to-be 54-year-old man who grew up in the Northeast, it just warmed the cockles of my heart when
Yeah.
she did that. But I love music. And, I sometimes, and you know what, frankly, spontaneously, I burst out into song either in my office or otherwise. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the absolute horror of my family. But you know what? The heck with it. It's what makes me happy.
So, you didn't mention law in there.
Law, it's interesting. I'm finding this week was very interesting in that respect.
Uh-huh.
Law has become, I've allowed it to, or I've, through my thinking, through my doing things, I have sometimes allowed it to get stale. I've allowed it to become a
Mm-hmm.
job, thinking about what am I going to do to make the next dollar?
Right.
And instead, when I was focused this week, I kept on doing something that Joshua recommended either at one of our prior roundtables, or maybe in one of the readings. I'm forgetting which at this point. Yeah, that's a sign of aging, by the way. Uh, just to intend to enjoy every moment
Mm,
and
yeah.
to intend to enjoy everything. And when I was doing it, I was finding joy again. And I was
Yeah.
doing I was sitting and writing estate planning documents, and I was really molding it, and I was viewing myself. Yes, I know you guys are probably thinking, okay, Cutson's out of his mind at this point, but I was sculpting them, and I was turning them into something. And even when I
Yeah.
was negotiating with the other side, I took some of Joshua's words to heart, that even when they're being their most difficult, to love them and to understand that they're there to teach you something. And by doing that, you know I'm not sure I would quite categorize it as a passion again, but it certainly was getting a lot closer to it because I was getting
Yeah,
joy
that's
out of it.
interesting. When I was doing appraisals, um, I love houses. I love real estate. I love looking at floor plans. I love that everything about real estate, which is pretty interesting. And when I was doing appraisal, it was like putting together a puzzle. And I would get so into it, and I was like, oh my God, this appraisal only took 20 minutes. And I look at the clock, and it's like an hour. And just everything just fades away because you're just so focused on the crafting of this thing that to anyone else would just seem like drudgery. But it was really a lot of parts of that job was fun.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
in the right, especially in the right frame of mind, doing the thing that doing something that you really like, or where you put yourself in the right, where you put yourself into the right mindset.
Yeah, I mean, if you if law wasn't a passion, you really probably wouldn't have been guided to it. I mean, it wasn't like you could pick being a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant, and you just said law. There was something about law that you were attracted to in the very beginning anyway.
Well, I'll tell
So
you,
that's
I'll tell
still
you,
there.
I'll tell you the thing that first sparked my interest in law, which were the Watergate hearings. They were all
Mm-hmm.
lawyers, and it was about law. And I used to sit, I was a young kid, and I used to sit and watch the Watergate hearings, which was probably, Roman, you would have thought of me the oddest tweener or and young teenager you'd ever met.
I don't know. I know some interesting characters.
But Michael, that just goes to show you that it truly was one of your passions, because I
Right.
guess your peers were not. I'm guessing your peers were not doing the same thing.
I guess you were
Listening to
inspired,
it.
right?
Yes.
I wasn't. Oh, I
Yes.
didn't even know what Watergate was, and we're about the same age.
Yeah,
I had no
but
idea
you were
what
in
Watergate
South
was.
Africa at the time, weren't you?
I was coming back, yeah. So it was 73 or something, 72.
72 through 75.
Yeah. And so when we came back to the country, I remember hearing about Watergate, you know, and thinking it was a flood somewhere.
Gary, you're
It took,
funny.
I had no idea, and we're the same age. So I was not interested in that at all. Um, so that, so the fact that you were interested in it, and this is another thing we'll talk about, the things you're interested in as a kid tend to be the things that will lead you to your passion. So just think about what you were interested in as a kid. But here you found something that you were interested in that probably seemed unusual to a lot of people, and that's how you can figure out, because if you are drawn to it, there's something there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
And
pretty cool.
Michael, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, Michael, when you started off, when Gary asked you about that, you mentioned that you're aware of them. But honestly, as you talk through that and shared with us some of your passions, you're actually living some of them. Just busting out in song and being joyful, that's following one of them. So it just sounds to me that not only are you aware of them, but you're starting to live them and living them.
So
And
you
here's another
Oh,
aspect of that
so you know what?
is,
I'll be
uh,
living in passion and living in joy. My poor family. As they
yeah.
listen
Yeah.
to me sing.
Well, here's to that point is that you don't have to be on American Idol as a singer to have a passion for singing and follow that and enjoy
Yeah,
it.
there's always the
And
voice.
there's
Yeah.
always the voice,
Or
right?
you can
Yeah.
just do
Or
it in the
America's
shower.
Got Talent. Hmm.
Just got to believe. That's all.
That's it.
Just okay. Let's go on to the question first, and then we'll just continue the subject more. This was the question that Steve wrote in the middle of his one-on-one program with Joshua. If you guys don't know what the one-on-one is, Steve was Joshua's first person that was involved in this program. And what Steve had to do was ask Joshua 3 to 4 questions a week. He had to meditate every day, and he couldn't make any big life changes during that 6-month period. And he had to commit to 6 months. So in that 6-month period, he wrote 100 questions, maybe a little bit more than 100. And we took 100 of those questions and put them into a book that will be coming out called Conversations with Steve. And it's really, everyone who's read this book is like blown away because it is such a page turner. Because as Steve asks a question, Joshua's an answer, and then you just got to read the next question because it sort of follows along with this, and you just can't put the book down. So hopefully we'll be releasing that maybe in March or something, if I can get around to it.
Follow your
I'm
passion there,
procrastinating
Barry.
for some reason.
It's not meant to be until the point that it's done.
Exactly. I'm not doing
So
any action until it's inspired.
exactly, yeah. That's another thing about passions that we should talk about is inspiration. We have to talk about that.
Yes, I've got some little notes here about that. All right, let's go on to this question. And Roman, will you read for your father?
I will. All right. Joshua, along the lines of working for a living, giving that I can be, do, or have anything in life, I doubt that I would pick having an 8 to 5 job like my current day job. Also, I'm starting to doubt my second job because I feel my greatest motivation for it is its money, which really shouldn't be the driving force. I have always been truly amazed at the power of computers and the fact that I could harness the power through programming. I would love to write a program once and have it make money for me somehow. I envision a program running 24/7 that makes money like a few pennies per transaction, but it repeats this thousands and thousands of times per day. I can improve the program, make it more efficient, but the point is that I'm not always starting from scratch. My program evolves and gets better. I can then pay someone to watch over this program, keep the server running, and I would be free to travel the world, do track days, ride my motorcycle, etc. So how do I get there? Oh, how do I get there from here? Do I imagine having free time and traveling? Would that transfer over to what I do for a living? Thanks, Steve.
Okay, so this is a question that I think everyone thinks about all the time. Is what if I can just make this unlimited money making machine that keeps going in perpetuity? My friend Bruce actually did this. He wrote created this website that helps people fix their own credit, and it's all automatic. And it takes them step by step. They've got to plug in their information, and then it tells them the next step and shows them what to do and and automatically writes the letters for them and does all this stuff. But it's all automated, so he doesn't do anything with it at all. And he was making, like $3,000 or $4,000 a month from it, which is pretty cool. Just set it up one time and let it go. So what does Joshua say about this? How about Michael, you read Joshua's answer?
You've got it. Dear Steve.
Oh, your microphone's shaky there.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, got it. Dear Steve, you birth a desire, the freedom to travel, to track days, ride your motorcycle, etc.
Yeah,
This is
do track days. So track days is taking his car out and
oh,
racing it
do
at the
track
track.
days. I
Yeah.
thought that was a typo. Okay, spoken from my northeastern pedestrian lifestyle. I didn't realize that was in fact correct. Anyway, back into Joshua mode. This is all you need to do. You don't have to figure anything else out. You cannot see how the universe will deliver this to you from your current perspective. You cannot envision the version of you who has the freedom to do all the things you want to do.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So here you are. You birth this desire, and the desire is to follow these passions that he has. He wants to travel. He wants to take his car and do track days. He wants to ride his motorcycle and that sort of thing. And so he's trying to figure out how can he do this? How can he do his passions? And Joshua is saying that you can't envision the version of you that is able to do this from where you are now. You have to be led there. So let's go on and see what Joshua says.
Because you can't see or know how your dream will be realized, you try to envision one potential outcome after another. You don't think this freedom can exist while simultaneously working at your day job, So you mentally search for other sources of income. You don't see the freedom coming as a result of your side business, and you start to doubt that business.
Right. So this is what happens to all of us. We have this desire, and then we try to figure out how it's going to manifest. Well, if we could figure out how it was going to manifest, then it would manifest. But you never really can because you're not in vibrational range with the version of you that has these things that you want. And so the process is to allow the universe to do its job. And the universe does its job by putting you in situations that test your belief system. So you get into a situation, and if you feel any emotion, if you feel positive emotion at that situation, then you're going along the path of rising to this higher version of yourself. If you feel negative emotion, then you are resisting an aspect of that, and that resistance is caused by a limiting belief, and the basis of that limiting belief is some fear. So if you can identify these limiting beliefs and realize that they're false, because all limiting beliefs are false, then you reduce the intensity of that limiting belief and you go on to the next step. Your vibration raises, and then you get closer to where you're going. And we could really show anyone who accomplished anything that they went through a series of things that changed who they were, and at the end of this, when they got what they wanted, they were a different person than when they started. But we're now knowing how the procedure works, so we can actually use it to our advantage. So let's go to the next paragraph.
So your mind turns to what you know, computers. You understand that this was one of your passions, and this passion led you to all that you have now. So you wanted to deliver you to the next desire. But this is a flawed approach. By using one passion to fuel another desire, you're just filling in your own grid, as Abraham would say.
So Abraham talked about the same thing. You have a passion, or sorry, you have a desire, and you think that you can take action to make that desire come true. And I think all of us can think of things in our lives when we wanted to get something done. We did stuff, we took action that we didn't like. Whenever you take action that you don't like, you're filling in your own grid and you're sort of delaying the whole process.
Yeah.
I, at a young age, remembered in school we had to sell these stupid things door to door, and I absolutely hated doing it. But I wanted to get whatever this prize was, and I had to force myself to do it, and it never worked. So there you go. That's proof.
Oh, I just asked my parents to hand around the things that were at their places of employment.
Perfect. See, you were so much smarter. Never occurred to me. Okay, go on to the next one.
Everyone wanted the silly cookies.
At work, yeah.
Adults wanted it. They wanted it at their workplace.
I was selling seeds. Why did I have to sell seeds?
Seeds.
Yeah, we were
I
selling
have never
seeds.
heard that before. That's
So in Michigan, I was
unbelievable.
in.
I
Yeah.
had to sell magazine subscriptions.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's harder.
Roman, did
That's
you
a
like
much
doing
harder
that or
sell.
My
not?
God.
Oh, I hated it.
You
If,
hated
if you
it.
if you hate doing something, don't do it. All right.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Next paragraph.
You have a passion for computers, a passion for motorcycles and driving, and a passion for travel. All good things. You want to explore your passions further, so you try to coerce the universe by making it happen in a way that you can understand from your current place in life. But the you who will be ready to do all these things is a different, more evolved version of you. There is nothing you have to do, or even can do, to change yourself as far as action is concerned. All you have to do is think your way to it and allow the universe to make the changes that are necessary.
Okay. Let's go to the next one.
We will say that your current set of beliefs are at odds with what you want, and that's why you can't get there from here. You want to do all the things that you want to do in a certain style. You want to have the money and not worry about money as you do these things. This is rather limiting because you are not yet vibrationally tuned to that level.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yep. For instance, you could quit your job, sell some of your assets, and travel the world on your motorcycle. You could do this tomorrow, yet you would have to leave your family and the security you love. Okay, then. You could wait a few years, and once your children were off on their own, boy, Josh was throwing you under the bus, Roman.
Mhm.
You could quit while you could quit your job, sell your house, and take your wife with you. But she's not as interested in this as you are. Okay, you could do this by yourself. But what about retirement? You need money for that. Do you see
Yep.
how? Oh, should I keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Do you see how you are not vibrationally aligned with what you really are, what you really want? You must solve all these problems and you can't quite work out a way to do it. So you create a money machine that allows you to solve many, but not nearly all of your problems. Money will not bring you the end result you desire. Money will not allow you to elegantly manifest your dreams into your reality. It is simply the shortcut you can understand from your current limited perspective that seems to lead you where you want to go. But it doesn't. So here you have two options. You can try to earn enough money to get you to the elegant manifestation of your dreams, or you can allow the universe to do it for you. Which do you think will get you there? Your only option is to allow the universe to do what it must to mold you into the version of you that is ready for the desire you ask for. Taking action on your own will only lead to something less. You have, oh, Gary?
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
You have already asked for what you want. Now you must allow yourself to be the clay in the hands of the universe. You will be given many manifestation events. At each event, you will decide if you allow the event to unfold as intended, or you will resist the event. Your emotions will let you know if you're allowing or resisting. You can resist, and your desire will be altered. You can allow, and your beliefs will be altered. If you resist, you'll stay where you are. If you allow, you will realize your dreams. It's up to you.
Okay, so this is interesting, especially for Steve, because he's going through this thing at work where, he was sort of in a leader. He was promoted to manager. He had an office. He was in a leadership position, and then all of a sudden, a new guy comes in and moves him out of his office into a cubicle and sort of puts everything up in the air. So Steve can either be negative and say that this is wrong and this shouldn't be happening to me, which is resistance, or he can say that I don't know where this is leading. I'm going to be open to it. I'm not going to feel negative emotion. I'm going to view this as a positive thing, and we'll see where it goes. So that stance that he's actually taking is a stance of allowing. So he's knowing that this is a manifestation event, a big one, and this is going to lead to something. And he's just being in the state of anticipation, waiting to see how things turned out, without instead of being in a state of resistance and fighting it, and trying and saying that that's wrong and it shouldn't be happening this way, which I think 99% of people would do. I would certainly do it. So this is really interesting. So, and we know that he wants to do track days and to ride his motorcycle and to travel. And so here we see the universe is lining things up, and we'll see where it goes from here. I think it's going to work out pretty well.
Right.
I do too. It almost feels like it's a gift.
Right.
And although
is.
You may not see it that way, but it almost seems like it could be. And
Right.
it'll be interesting when we see what does manifest fully from it and look back and say, wow, if that didn't happen, this would have never happened.
Exactly.
Right.
I
Well,
kind
I'm
of
going through something like this in my office right now as well. So,
Right. Yeah. And as long as you're not fighting against it and if you can stay open to it. And Roman, you're going to say something?
Oh yeah, just the imagery I kind of got from the answer from Joshua is like my dad is in a maze, and
Right.
the universe has the bird's eye view,
Right.
and every single time he makes a decision to try and get out of the maze, it just doesn't help. But every single
Right.
time the universe makes a suggestion, it's like, oh, just go this way, trust me, like
Yeah.
I know what you want.
Yep.
It's either you're gonna be like, no, that's a dumb idea, or
Right. If you say
or
that's a dumb idea, but see, the universe will, most people think that there's their idea that's coming. And so they discount it right away, you know. Um, but if they can realize that it's guidance coming from, you know, infinite intelligence, then they can say, okay, I just have this inspiration to do this. My God, I'm doing this with poker now, and it's unbelievable how it's working too. I'll know when I have a good hand. I know when I have a bad hand. I'm releasing all these hands that I would have played, and I'm playing all these hands I never would have played, and it's just amazing to see it work out. All right,
Boy,
let's keep going on.
you are the spiritual equivalent of a card counter.
I saw I saw Kreskin. Have you guys ever seen the Amazing Kreskin?
Oh my God, that brings me back.
He is so. We just saw him like a couple years ago. He is so unbelievable, this guy. And he said that he's not allowed to play poker anywhere. That he knows what everyone's cards are. And you'll think it's a show, but I saw him in college in the '80s, and I saw him just recently, and was amazing both times. And I'm okay. So here's the thing. He takes 5 people on the stage. They all take random cards. They all shuffle the cards and they take them out of these decks and random cards. They pick 3 cards or 2 cards or whatever, and he goes right down the line. Ace of hearts, 2 of hearts, and the people turn it over. Yep. Every person, boom, boom, boom. Random people out of the audience. These were all 2 of the people I knew who were up there, and one of them ran the theater that we were at in this college here.
Wow.
Then he has everyone write down 2 things that they love, right? And put on pieces of paper, and they all go in this envelope, and the envelope was all collected and was all sitting at the end of each aisle, right? So I saw my envelope, I held it over, and I saw what Lily wrote, and Lily wrote, well, he says, does anyone out there love chocolate cake and puppies? And that's exactly what she wrote: chocolate cake and puppies. And I was doing this to everyone, So I think that there's something going on here, and so I'm exploring that in poker. Anyway, let's go to the next paragraph.
Okay. If we were living your life as we see it from our higher perspective, we would go with the flow, allowing what is to come, trusting that we cannot see the big picture, and appreciating everything we have along the way. We would appreciate our day job for the richness it offers our current reality. We would appreciate our side business for the challenges and creativity it offers. We would understand that we can't see the future, and quite possibly the path to our desire might be paved right through our job, our business, or both. We would enjoy riding our bike whenever we can and not worry that we can't ride it more. We would travel anyway and not worry that we can't travel more. We would enjoy our family knowing that this version of family life will never come again. We would lean into everything with renewed passion and vigor. We would be thrilled to be living a physical life. We would think about whatever excites us, not needing the subject of our thoughts to manifest. We would realize that our vibration allows us to reach for new thoughts and new ideas. We would give great thought to a certain subject and see where that thought leads us. Maybe it leads to a little computer program that creates wealth. Maybe it's part of a path to our dreams. We don't know, but we do know it's fun to think about. And that is all we need to know. Joshua.
Oh, I just got goosebumps on that one.
Me too.
I know, isn't
Yeah.
that cool? So, in essence, I think Joshua is saying that when you lean into whatever you're doing, you can make whatever you're doing your passion. So, if we say that the definition of a passion is getting involved in something where that involvement, blurs space and time, then that's the passion. And that state of being is bliss. And bliss is the state of allowing. When you're in bliss, you raise your vibration and you have access to other thoughts. You don't manufacture your thoughts, you attract thoughts. And so, as you raise your vibration, you have access to new thoughts. All thoughts exist, they're all existing out there anyway. There are no new thoughts. Every thought that has been thought still exists. Every possible thought is out there. Every idea is out there. We just align with it through our vibration. And also, a big part of following a passion is that when you're following a passion, you tend to be totally in the present moment. Have you ever felt like that when you're really involved in something? That's what presence really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, another aspect of passion is that a lot of people don't follow the passions because they don't conform with what society thinks is appropriate. And me and Roman have two passions that people don't think is appropriate. Even people involved in this passion are like, "How come you're playing poker so much? Really? You'd do this too if you could." But Roman, you are really into gaming, right?
Oh yeah, I'm huge into gaming. I love it. I follow the professional scene and everything, and how they're all making teams and all making money and having a great time and doing all this stuff, and it just seems so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is the next big thing, boy. This is going
yeah.
to be bigger than the NFL. It's going to be
It
huge.
it is huge. I mean, even my youngest son, he's 13. I mean, he's watching all these YouTube. I mean, there's gamers that live in, right, Roman, you might know, they live in homes together, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing what they're doing. It's a whole new level,
They're getting
Yeah.
sponsors and all this cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and
And they
making
don't
a
get
lot of money
injured and
while
they don't get
doing
concussions.
it.
Well,
Well, I
maybe
was going to say,
maybe some carpal tunnel on their hands, but
Yeah, more or
well,
less.
I think that's going to end up happening maybe. But honestly, they're living with passion, and it seems to me a lot of them are making a lot of money doing this, and it
Yeah,
probably
but you don't
doesn't even
have to
feel
make
like work.
money. So we're saying if as long as they're making money, then that passion is valid. But if they're not making money, then they're just wasting time. I think that's what the average person would say. We have a friend whose son is so focused on his video games that he's literally plays 12 hours a day. And luckily for these people, we're very open and we don't think that it's a bad thing. We think it's a great thing. But there are other friends think it's horrible and their grandparents think it's horrible and all this stuff too. And they're really concerned about it, even though they luckily are not too concerned about it as well. And the son is, I think, 23. So they're sort of worried he doesn't have a girlfriend and he doesn't, but but he's totally involved in his passion, and it's something that we can't, even as open as we are, get our heads around it. But I think that you just have to ignore everyone else and do what you need to do because this is your life. And part of that issue too is that you have to get over your concern about what other people think about your own passion because
And
they're
who
just not
knows,
going to get
we
it.
might, that's true, but we might see Roman on a team manifesting things from that, and that might end up being his livelihood. We don't know if he's that
Right.
into it.
You
I mean,
don't
I don't want to
know,
speak
and
for you, Roman.
so there's no way to know. So all you have to do is follow it as far as you want, and what tends to happen, I think, is that one passion will open up something else that you could never even imagine.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
And like even with video games, like that's how I got into sculpting and stuff because I
Right.
wanted to know how they made all those characters in this digital format, and I got
Yeah.
into digital sculpting, and I do that all the time now. So
That's incredible. Yeah. And 3D can come from it, and management can come from it, and promotion and marketing, and there's just a billion things that can come out of that. You just have no idea, but because you can't see. I was in college for 5 years. I had no idea what I was going to do until the day I graduated. Yeah.
yeah, my dad says you don't go to college for the knowledge you receive.
Yeah.
You go to college for the people you meet.
People you meet
Yeah.
and sort of experience of that transition out of family life. But I think that college is definitely not for everybody.
right. But,
Yeah.
but college is a place. For me, it was a place to it was a place to grow up
Me too.
and
Yeah.
to learn how
Not
to
that I
make
know
9-minute
that
pasta.
much.
I was talking to someone at the party last night that I haven't seen in a while, and I asked her about both of her children, and she let me know about her son, who's a little bit older, and his path. But then when she talked about her daughter, who's still in high school, she was telling me what she's doing. She's really into mechanics, and she's going to actually open up a female. Well, this is the path that she's going to say. She said, "I don't want to go to college," and her mom at first was like, really taken back. And she's like, I'm going to go get a job. She has this whole like little game plan for 4 or 5 years. Then I'm going to open like almost like a woman, like a ladies shop. And so it's going to cater to, how you can go to the shops and then they're like, you're like, always feel like you're taken. I mean, that's really what
Women,
happens. You're
yeah.
always like, oh, let me bring my
Hmm.
husband or my boyfriend or whatever,
Right.
because you're always afraid that you're going to get, they're going to tell you need this and this and this when in fact you only need one thing. But she just recently went to a shop and she knew exactly what it was. And I don't pretend to know it was some bearing or whatever. And they're like, yeah, right. They kind of
Hmm.
rolled up their eyes at her. And then
Uh-huh.
she said, no, what I really want you to do is check that out. And they did. And in fact, it was that. So now she's like best buds and goes to the shop and talks shop talk. So not
That's
everyone
brilliant.
needs to end up going to college. Could you imagine what an innovative idea?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only
Make
went to
sure it's
college
females.
for the credibility that it gave me, but I never used any of it. By the time I was done with the class, it was, look at marketing. Marketing in 1987 was just teaching marketing from the 60s. It was so stupid. And it evolved so much, and then 2 years, everything I learned was irrelevant.
Hmm.
Well,
But
yeah,
But
I went
going
to
to
school in
school
the
for,
early. I went to
like,
school. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Michael, go ahead.
No, I was about to say I went to school in the early '80s. I have a finance degree, and everything that I learned back then was already on the on the way out.
economics then was completely different than it is now.
Oh,
Now,
100%.
yeah,
See, and then
it's
like her daughter Caroline's going to go for mechanics, to be a certified mechanic. And then my brother did aeronautics. There are all different paths that everybody
yeah,
can take.
yeah.
Oh, good
But
God,
we
yes.
live in an age right now where you can pretty much learn anything you want to know as deeply as you want to know it in front of your computer.
Hmm.
You know,
Oh, I
there's no
will.
teach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a pretty good school, but there's no teacher that none of the teachers there were the best in the world. Which I can go on YouTube right now and find the best in the world teaching something. You know, it's
That's right. And
interesting.
you can see them at a time when it's convenient for you and when you're actually awake and not hungover.
Hmm.
Really, Michael, were
As
you a
as
drinker in
uh,
college? Were you
you
a
know what?
party animal?
I wasn't. No, I was not a party animal, but I certainly had my fun, and we'll leave it at that.
Oh, good, good. Not me. I had a. I put my way through college, and I had a full-time big business. We did um, market research for commercial leasing agents in South Florida, and I. But that didn't make enough money, so I was also a waiter. So I would go to school from 7 to 10, 5 days a week, then go to work from 10 to 5, and then a waiter from 5 to 11, and then start all over again every day.
Wow.
Wow.
That was so stupid.
But were you living your passion when you were doing
Oh yeah,
Um,
he loves waiting.
it?
It's
yeah,
it's
right. Waiting tables. Everyone loves that. Oh my God. You know what waiting tables did? It made me believe that as long as I wasn't waiting tables anymore, my life was a success. Because that is one of the hardest, most stressful jobs there is.
Right.
Um,
Although I've met people who actually enjoy it. So,
oh, and if you're a professional waiter, it's a whole different thing.
right.
But if you're just a college kid trying to,
Oh, no question.
working at a Jewish deli serving 84 people in a day, it's difficult.
No question.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, so I'm thinking now that you can sort of figure out your passion from things you like doing as a child. Do you think that's true?
I
If I
um,
look
do.
at
I do.
me, uh-huh. So
I
I th-
think when you're young and innocent, you like, and you're absolutely more open. It's just then when things are projected onto you from whatever outside influences, whether it be school or teachers or parents, then maybe you lose sight of that. Because I know I did that. I lost sight of it for a while. Or then we get busy and raising a family, you lose sight of it, and then all of a sudden, when you become clear and like Joshua mentioned earlier, you allow it to happen, then you rediscover it.
yeah, so for me, my passions as a kid were playing card games. I was really into card games, all games, but like we played lots of gin rummy and lots of even poker back when we were a kid.
See, no surprise there.
Night
Yeah, really.
thing, right? And I loved cooking as a kid, and then that's my second biggest passion in life, mainly because I sort of had to fend for myself. When my parents were divorced, you know, we were latchkey kids, and I cooked all the time. And my dad was a good cook too, so I always cooked together, which was great. And I love music, so and I think that I could have definitely taken on a career in music, like management or marketing or thing in the industry, but I was always afraid that that wouldn't make enough money. And I was so much more concerned about money than doing what my passion was.
Gary, I could actually really see you doing that. When you said that, I'm like, I could see him doing that.
I could.
I was
Absolutely.
The funny
so
thing
with
was,
it.
Janine, so could I.
Yeah.
That was
The minute
eerie.
you said it, it's almost like I envisioned it. Like Roman was talking about, the image of the maze, which really, when he said that, I was infused with chills. As soon as you said that, the same type of reaction. Like I could definitely see that. That
Yeah.
might have been one of your
Right.
paths, and who knows? It's never too late.
Yeah, I'm looking at your picture here on Skype. The rest of the audience can't see this, but Gary, Gary's a good-looking guy, big guy, and he's wearing a dark turtleneck shirt on, a dark turtleneck shirt, and he looks completely like somebody who could be managing a bunch of artists who might be a little difficult, might not be, getting them into the venues, dealing with the record companies. God
Right.
Almighty, I could see you doing that. You
Yep.
look the part.
Yep. I could be like a Simon Cowell type of guy.
We hope it a little nicer though.
No, I would be just like him. I think he's great.
You stink.
Yeah, he tells the truth. It's nice. Okay, so look at you. American Idol is a perfect way to see people pursuing their passions, and you can see the difference between the people who really have a passion for music and the people who want to have a passion for music because they want to be rich or famous. And the people that want this to have it so bad are like so distraught when someone tells them they can't sing, which is unbelievable because anyone should be telling people they can't sing, right? And they're the ones who get really angry, because if someone is denying them and the judges are wrong and all this stuff. And then the people who have a real passion for it are always just super surprised, that the judges like them, even though they're the best person you've ever heard. Can you guys hear this wind? We're having a windstorm here, and it's banging.
I can't hear it, but I can hear it here. I'm having the same thing.
It's like a little mini hurricane.
Gary, it's funny you say that because when I was younger, I used to walk around the house, and I don't know why. Just as a young kid, I used to try to sing opera, and I used to walk around the house just playing my flute. And we had a 3-story home. I would go up and down the stairs just playing my flute, and I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and they were like, "Stop singing and stop playing the flute." And just recently, all 3 of my boys have played instruments. And just recently, I said, you know what? As I actually, when we're done with the show, I'm taking my son to saxophone lessons. But I said, I'm going to take flute lessons. I'm going to go back to that just because it's always been my passion. They shut me down though. They were like, "Would you stop?" So then I became more intimidated. I should have just kept going with it because I was living in a blissful moment then.
Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would pursue opera at this point. But I think that ship has sailed.
But we always project it into this thing where you have to be on stage. I mean, you can just do it for fun, take classes. That's what we're talking about.
True.
Yeah,
which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not expecting to be in an orchestra, but I'm going to take classes and I'm going to do it. Why not?
Yeah. Roman, you're 20, is that right?
I am.
And so, what were the things you liked doing when you were like 8?
Well, because I'm pretty sure I'm still a kid to most everyone. When I was a younger kid.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, when I was a younger kid, I pretty much do what I do now. I mean, I've always enjoyed video games. They were interesting to me. They were I enjoyed their simplicity, but they were also simple enough to sort of be advanced in their own way. Like video games would introduce mechanics like, you have to jump to dodge this or various other things, but then they would string a bunch of them together. So you'd have to be able to use all of those tools that you've learned to complete the level.
Right.
Or whatever it is. So it's like, oh, okay, that's a really interesting concept that they teach you how to do something and then test you on it essentially.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost like how school should be, but it's kind of, we're not there yet. So that's okay.
That's for sure. Michael, what about you? What did you like when you were a kid?
Well, I think interests do evolve, but there are some commonalities to it. Like I do like to play games, but I like to play different games.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning it was Candyland and Monopoly. Then it evolved to Monopoly, then to Risk and some war games. I used to like to play chess. I haven't played it in a long time.
More
Uh,
strategy. You
yeah,
like poker then, if you liked all that stuff.
yeah. You know what? Like I said, I used to play poker and gin and other things with my late grandparents.
Yeah, me too.
But I always liked performing. I always liked singing. I used to like playing sports. Age and other factors have taken me away from that.
Yeah.
Although now I'm enjoying trying to get. I'm actually enjoying trying to get a little bit, getting in a little bit better shape, trying to get back
Um,
into shape.
were you performing as a kid?
I was in some plays when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually discouraged from it.
Mm-hmm.
My mother would say, "Oh, you can't go into show business. Show business is hard. Is heartbreak. It's heartbreak, and you'll starve."
So this is the point I'm trying to make: is that here we are trying to follow our passions, and then our people are telling us we can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also used to play guitar.
Really?
I was never very good at it. And in part, I derailed myself a little bit too because I said, "Oh, I've got to stay focused on when I was in high school, I better stay more focused on the things that are going to make me a living. In other
Right.
words, studying."
So we derailed ourselves as well, but that was primarily from the influence of others.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
frankly, I would love to be on a stage swinging my guitar and smashing it like Pete Townsend in The Who,
Yep. Hmm.
or playing like a real blues master like Albert King or Eric Clapton, and hey, who knows?
Gary,
At
this is
least
some
for fun.
Gary, I was going to say, this is something I haven't thought about until you just brought up this question. But when I was young, I used to go into my mother's closet, and my mom had beautiful clothes. She was very social, traveled a lot. I used to go into her closet and dress up, the high heels. My feet were so tiny, and I used to put all her necklaces on. And I mean, as a matter of fact, my everybody dubbed me. First started with my family as Diamond Lil. Well, growing up, I was always, like I said, I was always into fashion. I started drawing illustrations. But when I went to college, I said, people were like, "Oh, well, you have the gift of speaking." So I ended up thinking I wanted to be an attorney. My first 2 years of
Mm.
college, I went with that fully focused. I was absolutely miserable,
Mm.
and I talked to my dad about it, and then we discussed it. He said, "Follow your passion." Turned around, went to school for fashion marketing and management,
Ah.
graduated cum laude. I was hired right away by Saks Fifth Avenue, went all through management, became a dress buyer in Manhattan. It was
Huh.
amazing. So look at that from that little girl. And I was
Yep.
very young because I remember my feet being so tiny and I was like falling off her heels trying to walk in them just draped. And to this day, that's still my passion. When I went to high school, I ended up winning best dressed out of 900 kids. It was always my thing. I loved it. And,
Look at
and
that.
I've never, ever, ever thought about it until you mentioned it today, that was that little Janine, what she manifested all those years later.
Lily was always into interior design, always. And her mother always said, "You can't do that because you don't have a license. You have to go to school for that." She's like, "Well, I can't go to 4 years of school for this." And then one day she said, "Screw it. I'm just going to follow my passion." Opens a store, designs furniture. We go on design appointments to houses. She's getting super famous now. It's so, and she didn't know how she was going to make money doing it. It just came about. But she made the decision to stop doing what she was doing and which was running these restaurants, and start living her passion. So she's not involved in restaurants at all. We hired someone to do that, and now she's just doing what she loves to do. And she every day for her goes by in 5 seconds.
Oh,
And I
real
have the
quick.
pleasure of knowing Lily, and she is just a beautiful person, and she is living her dream. She really
Yep.
is. She's so good at what she does. She
Yep.
is just being around her, you feel good.
Yep. And it's not always going to be easy. Following your passion doesn't mean it's always going to work out,
That's
but
true.
it's evolving. Yeah.
So we passed 57 minutes.
Okay. Well, that is a wrap up. Thank you for reminding me here. Um, I hope everyone had a great time. This was a really fun show. I hope everyone's encouraged to start thinking about what they want to do instead of what they have to do. Start thinking about taking inspired action rather than motivating yourself to do things you don't want to do. And I hope you'll all find us, come back here next week. We'll explore another topic relating to what Joshua has to say about it. Until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then. And try and stay warm up there, Michael. We're okay down here in Florida and California.
Mhm.
I'm warm and I'm loving being inside.
Awesome. All right. Well, until then, we'll see everyone next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a
everybody.
beautiful week.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Teachings of Joshua Roundtable with Gary Temple Bodley. We will be back next week with another fun discussion. If you would like to ask Joshua a question or read more of Joshua's teachings, please visit us at theteachingsofjoshua.com. See you next week.